What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 90s First Show, where we talk about some 90s content that we cannot stop watching. My name is Mike. Alongside, I have my co-hosts here. We got Jelly, as always. How you doing today,
What
Jelly?
up, everyone? Oh, I'm doing well.
Are you sure? You sound sick.
I am so sick, but hey, I'm here, so I'm doing good.
Well, that's good. And then finally, making his first appearance on the 90s First Show as an official chair on the 90s First, we have Justin. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Different location, but I'm here.
Yeah, got a little bit of a different location, but he'll be back to his normal place some other time. So thank you for tuning in. If you would like, please leave us a review. We would greatly appreciate it. Leave us a rating on anything that you're watching, either on YouTube or listening over on any podcasting platform that you have. Please leave us a review on Apple. If we see that review, we'll read it out. Okay, so we really want to get those reviews coming in, and we really appreciate you if you do that for us. Finally, we are on the socials at the 90s First. Everywhere, so go ahead and check us out. Follow us there, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then if you would like, we do have a Patreon if you want to support us monetarily. No Patreon exclusives, just some general support, so if you want to do that as well. Finally, next episode of Test Your Might is coming this Tuesday, episode 49. We have Jelly, Justin's going to be on there, as well as a good friend of mine and Justin's growing up, actually, Brian. So a good friend, Brian, is going to be debating Justin. So it'll be fun. So definitely stay tuned for that. Next Tuesday, it will be coming live to you. And then just really quickly, just to give you a little teaser, we have a very, very special guest for Test Your Might episode 50. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you there. Anyway, gentlemen, topic of the show for today. So, Jelly, I want to give you some time to talk about a little bit of the context of why we're talking about this. We are going to touch base on two Toy Story movies from the 90s, Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, and we're going to have a little chat, maybe a little bit of a debate here, taking a little cue from Test Your Might as to which one is better. And Jelly, can you give us the story, the context as to why we're doing this topic?
Why are we doing this? All right. So it has been a hotly debated topic between Mike, a coworker, and myself as to which Toy Story is the best Toy Story. He and I are on opposite sides, obviously. That's why we're doing this thing. But we have been, back and forth for months on this. Like months and months, and I'm a diehard Toy Story fan, and I kind of let it be known that I think that the original Toy Story is the best. It was a unique story. It was something. It was Pixar first. It was everything, and then they made another one, and while after having rewatched the second one as an adult, it is not just watchable, but it is a decent movie. I still hold that Toy Story 1, the original Toy Story, is superior in every way. And we're going to talk about that. Again, this is my opinion. Mike has his opinion. Justin's got his own opinion. And while all of us have our own opinions, I'm going to take the time right now while Mike is not here to say his opinion is wrong. And hey, wrong opinions happen. I'm just glad that I'm on the right side of history here.
Yeah, totally. And everyone's opinions do matter, and Mike's is an opinion that matters as well. Unfortunately, it's not the same as our opinion, but that's okay.
Oh, so,
Mike, can you tell us more about your opinion?
We're already in the thick of this, huh?
No. I was just letting the listeners know that I have my very close-held opinion about the movies, and I was letting them know that you have your own opinion. So tell us about your opinion.
So I'm assuming you went down the road that we've been having this argument for a while, actually.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So I just thought it would be a fun topic of the show to discuss these two original Toy Stories because
one of them's original.
Oh, okay, enough. Just the first two Toy Stories, because I am of the opinion that Toy Story 2 is better. I think it's a better film. That's not to, again, as Justin said, everybody is entitled to their opinion. And it's not to say that I don't love the original Toy Story, because I do. I think it's a phenomenal movie. By me saying that Toy Story 2 is better, it does not mean that Toy Story 1 is bad by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, it's almost it's up there as one of the top animated films of all time. So I mean, I'm not going to discredit that, but I and along with some others believe that Toy Story 2 is the better one. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But you guys are both Toy Story 1, right?
Yeah. Hands down. Yeah.
So then
that's the right choice.
I mean, debatable. So let's get down to let's talk about these individual movies separately for a brief moment, and then we'll kind of collide as to which holds a candle to each other. So the original Toy Story, what makes that movie great? And we'll start with Justin first. Go ahead.
I think the original, other than the nostalgia feel, because it's what I grew up with, its story element, it's all about the toys. There's adults and kids thrown in throughout the plot, but it's not centered on those characters. It's centered around the toys developing the story and going and solving their problems. And I feel like throughout the entire film, it carries that. It does have those adult elements, just like the second one does. It has guilt. It has, depression, sadness, those things. It has those in there for the adults that are watching it, but it also carries that toy element throughout the entire film and keeps it centered on the toys. So the second one stars characters that are adults.
No, we're only talking about the first one. Jelly, go. Why does the first one why is it great?
The first one was unique. It was, I mean, now it's really old, but it came out in 95, and it was originally a story about, what happens with your toys when you're not around. And it literally gave your toys life. So it was such a unique thing to film and animation, not to like books and stories, because there's stories about that. But, to be seen, especially in a children's film, to have like this idea that when you're not around, your toys live their own lives separate entirely from the way you play with them, was just hugely unique and awesome. The first one there's kind of two storylines, but the biggest one is you have Woody, who's Andy's toy, his favorite toy, and then all of a sudden, one birthday, he gets a new toy. And what happens when you get a new toy? Everyone who's gotten a new toy, all you listeners, you play with that new toy a lot, and the old toys kind of fall off the pedestal a little bit, and you have to find a good balance. But when those toys are real living things, like now they have feelings. So Woody gets jealous, and you see this crazy jealousy, and it kind of drives him to do some crazy things. And there you get like the main plot of the story is like, what happens when you have a toy that gets jealous of another toy, or a friend get jealous of a friend who's being played with more. Apart from that, you have like the bad guys and stuff like that. And we'll probably talk a little bit about those later, but like, it was just so unique and new. And I was 5 when this came out, and I was probably 6 or 7 the first time I saw it. I didn't get to see it in theaters. We saw it when it came out on VHS. Listeners, if you don't know what a VHS is, please Google it. It's a tape. It's how us old people used to watch films. So it was just so unique and new. It dealt with a lot of both kid issues and pretty mature issues as well, but it did it in a lighthearted way that wasn't too like heavy and serious. But you still felt, it. You still felt like the gravity of all the situations. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the first one.
So first one, you guys didn't mention, but the soundtrack is phenomenal. Just the music behind the scenes, Randy Newman's, You Got a Friend in Me, like just brilliant. Like it works perfectly for, as you said, Jelly, the Toys to Life concept, and it was a flawless soundtrack. So that's another reason that makes it great. I think one of the brilliance is just the different like different toys that you have just like coming into the fold. And like what's great about it is that like you have a toy revolt against Woody, who is the leader of the toys in Andy's room, and it just spawns this really incredible and compelling story in the medium of toys.
Yeah.
So Woody has his gripes with the new Space Ranger, the shiny toy, and just their back and forth banter is perfect. And Tim Allen and Tom Hanks are just brilliant in both of their respects. I quote so many things from this movie and the second one too as well, because my kids love these movies and I watch them almost weekly, and so like just the many different scenes that cause the greatness of Toy Story 1. It's just really awesome. I love the voice acting. I love the different toys that come into the fold. And the story is really, really good. Also like Sid, right? Like having a toy destroyer, which is something that they kind of brought back in the third one with like the one room that, they were a part of in the daycare, these toy destroyers. Yeah. But Sid is actually buying rockets and stuff. So yeah. Justin, what's your thoughts on like the conflict of the toys with like Sid and amongst themselves?
Well, I believe it's the only time in all of the Toy Story films that the toys show that they can move to a character that's a physical human. And if you think about it, that causes some emotional stress and probably trauma for that kid for the rest of his life. So I'm glad they didn't go back to that in the future. But I think that really showed an element of the toys having to band together to solve their problems against a human, opposed from just always working towards being a toy played with humans. So it shows that there are bad people out there, and it shows that they have to work together even in the toys aspect to survive.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a unique, one of a kind experience for the toys to really have to solve those problems and work against a human to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so good. So play nice.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Jelly, any thoughts on Sid and just that conflict?
He was a great antagonist. From the moment that he's kind of introduced, it's from Andy's room across the street, and they're watching him, and he's blowing things up in the backyard, and you don't quite know what's happening, but you see toys being sacrificed. Is the best way to put it.
The commander guy with
for his enjoyment. We all knew kids like that, which is so funny. We all knew kids who played rough with their toys, or took the toys out and used them as target practice, or did things like I knew that kid. So for me, it was a very real thing. Like when I was young and watching this, I was like, oh yeah, I know him. He's relatable. And then you think, wow, maybe I do things with my toys that aren't super nice, like throw them across the room and, just play really rough with your toys. And he was a great representation of like why you should treat your toys nice. Even though like, I think when you're watching it as a kid, like that's what I got out of it when I was young. Like, oh man, what if my toys were real? I need to be nicer to them because they're gonna freak me out if I do something mean. But as an adult rewatching it, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like there's more to it than just like surface level. Oh, he's the bad kid and doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot more that you can read into it as an adult. Like his troubled home life and the fact that he gets ignored and probably not treated well. There might be some abuse in that household and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's super heavy for a kid's movie, but when you're a kid, you don't see those things. It's only once you're an adult and you have a different worldview and perspective that you can see the depth that these movies go to. So I think he was a really well done antagonist. As far as the movie goes and like his role in it, played well. He's a great villain to go up against, and like we said, they come out the better, and he comes off the worse in the end. And he literally does show up in the third film for just a scene, but
He's a janitor, I think.
he's a garbage truck.
Yeah.
He's the garbage truck driver.
Yeah. Sid is really good in this movie. He ultimately embodies what like we as kids weren't. And so we saw like him just mistreat his stuff, and there were some times that we would mistreat him, but it was ultimately just like throwing them down the stairs, not exploding them or anything. It's just this crazy sadistic way of doing playing with toys. But
I may or may not have target practiced some of my only men.
I don't. Yeah, I never did. So, but yeah, good antagonist, good conflict there. So, you guys, I know this is going to be very hard for you, but what is great about Toy Story 2? We'll go your way first, Justin.
Well, what's good about Toy Story 2? The soundtrack.
Nope.
No. No, I think that the characters, the toys, how Buzz becomes the leader when Woody is gone, and he directs the other toys to go and save Woody, is huge, because that's showing that they respect Buzz just as much as Woody, as each other. That Woody wouldn't have given up. Woody would have kept going, and he's able to get them on his side and continue to do that. And I really did like the dog aspect of it, with Woody riding the dog and hiding behind it, and he was able to communicate with the dog better than Andy did. Andy tried to give the dog a trick, and Woody got the trick right away.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. The whole garage sale, yard sale scene was great. It had more adult elements in my mind. With the chicken dude Al. It really showed a worser side than Sid was. He stole Woody pretty much for his own gain, and I don't know. It's like the adult elements travel through these movies tenfold if you're watching it as an adult, and you're looking at it and you're seeing all these elements of human society that could be good and could be bad. And I feel like the second one hit a little bit on a darker tone. It had Woody's nightmares after being shelved. It had, the whole aspect of Al stealing Woody, and then inevitably Zurg at the end. It felt like they were battling bigger conflicts, and the story was a little less rooted to the original characters.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jelly. What's great about Toy Story 2?
A lot of what Justin said. Like, I really liked a lot of the scenes in it, especially rewatching as an adult. When I was young, I don't know if it was just because I liked the first one more, or if there was a disconnect between the stories. I feel like the second one does really well in a lot of those adult themes, in the stealing Woody out of the cash box after the mom's like, "Whoa, hey, no, it's my son's toy." A lot of the action scenes were very fun. The cones across, the elevator things, the character building and relationship building with new toys, they did really well. As far as like Stinky Pete and with Jesse and Bullseye, I think they did those things really, really well. I liked that they hit on the emotional themes hard. Kind of with all of it. They jumped around stories a lot, but
Yeah.
within all of those stories, I feel like a big part of it uh, was like relationship building, for Buzz taking over the team and guiding them, for Woody being kind of accepted into this new group, and then understanding what they had been through, learning the pasts of Jesse and Woody, and why Woody is kind of sought after, and all of that stuff. I think they did really well, because it's not something that they did in the first movie, because the first movie was, in my opinion, just geared towards kids more. So it had a little bit more light story and was easier to digest, and had more, uh, just it was simpler. Not in a bad way. It was just simpler. And this movie's really complex, and that could have been why it was hard for me as a kid. But as an adult, I like the complexity in it. I think it's a good thing. I think it makes the movie better, in my opinion, than what I remembered it being. Because when I was young,
I could agree
it
with
was,
that.
yeah. When I was young, it
Which
was
makes
just
me
hard.
happy because, like, behind the scenes here, listeners, like Jelly has not rewatched Toy Story 2 until this week, until I made him do it for the topic of the show.
Same, bro.
Same with Justin, I guess. And so, which does make me happy that he looked at it at a different lens, because I do believe, again, I'm not going to discredit Toy Story 1 at all. Like, I still think it's a brilliant film. But those complexities, those story elements, is what makes Toy Story 2 great, and just slightly better, in my opinion. I think that's why I said, in my opinion. Gosh.
I noticed you added in there a little late, but yeah, I
There's a
got you.
pause, and then, in my opinion.
No, there was no pause. There was a straight sentence.
Listeners, let us know if there was a pause.
Anyway, kind of one of the contentions that I also have, and what makes Toy Story better, is actually animation as well. Like, I personally enjoy more of the fluid movement that you get from the toys, in the better animation style that it is. Toy Story 1 has that older animation style, has that kind of like, Pixar wasn't like at the top of their game just yet, and then Toy Story 2 brings a little bit of a better animation style, so I like that aspect. The characters that they added, like Jesse, Bullseye, Stinky Pete, they're perfect. I love the bigger stakes that Toy Story 2 has. It has bigger stakes for the toys in general, and that's what I love about it. You have more adventures with more of the toys, with more of the personalities thrown in, versus just pretty much Buzz and Woody in the first one. Which, again, that's not to discredit the first one, but that's what I like about this, and that's what I believe makes it great. Justin, you joked about it, because listeners, I don't know if you said that, if you saw that, but he said soundtrack, and then he smiled. But the soundtrack is good in this one too. Oh, holy sneeze, Batman. The soundtrack is great in this film too. Like the Woody's Roundup stuff, like all of that, like Sarah McLachlan coming in, doing that Jessie song, which I really enjoy as well. So those added aspects as well. Plus, I enjoyed the fact that the biggest conflict, the biggest villain, were amongst themselves. It was a toy. Spoiler alert, sorry, this is from 1999, but Stinky Pete, was kind of the villain in the end, and then you obviously have Zurg with, Buzz and stuff, but
Kind of.
yeah, kind of. But at the end of the day, like, I really enjoyed the aspect that the conflict, the true villain, the true conflict is coming amongst themselves, and the toys are coming together to remind each other that we are toys and we are to be played with. We're not something bigger than that, almost. And that's what I really enjoyed about that. Like, yeah, Woody is bigger. He has a history of being in a TV show and stuff like that, but he ultimately realizes that he's not as big as he needs to be. Like, he is just Andy's toy, and he loves that about his life. So that's what I think makes Toy Story 2 great. Should we get into it?
We can, because you made some points there that I don't agree with.
I was staying quiet, but just emotionally. Yeah.
All right, go, Justin. Go. Let's
My
get in.
eyes
Why is
twitched a
Toy
few
Story
times.
1 better?
Oh, why is Toy Story 1 better? Why? Let's talk about why it's not better. I don't have anything on that list. Okay, so why it's better? I think I think all aspects. You mentioned the animation, and when it came out, that was top of the line. That was what animation was, and what it was capable of, and it blew our minds as kids because that's what we had available. You can't really judge it on animation because it came out later, and then they had better stuff to make better animation. And I don't want them to reboot Toy Story 1 at all. I want it to stay the way it is. I feel like
I don't disagree with that either.
I feel like the something I picked up on this last time I watched the first one was the aspect of revenge. Buzz said a line about how Star Command doesn't, teach revenge, and that was something that hit not only with him and Woody, but also with Sid's toys. Sid's toys were getting disrespected, blown up, thrown in the trash, destroyed, but they didn't come out seeking revenge on Sid. They came out building each other back up, building each other better, and keeping each other strong. And they worked together with Woody and Buzz, that were new toys in the group, to eventually save another toy. So they didn't seek revenge against Sid. And that's a big adult element that I noticed this last time watching, that they didn't take the bad route. They took the we're going to keep moving forward no matter what's thrown at us route. And I felt like that element was very crucial to the story. And I felt like it was a very good adult element that they put in there just for us, just for the older audience watching. Because kids aren't going to see that and be, oh, they should attack Sid. No, we think about that, And, the soundtrack is good. You've got that lead song, You Got a Friend in Me. But then there was another song I noticed when Buzz was seeking his depression, sinking into a hole, and he was looking at the window in Sid's house, and the Flight song.
Yeah.
Also a banger. And it was great. It was good because it really showed those elements of, what he was feeling inside vocalized over the soundtrack. How about you, Jelly?
All right. Whew. So, you say the animation in 2 is better than 1. I strongly disagree. Having watched both of them in the last 2 days, I do not like 2's animation as much as the first, and I think it's because it went darker in a lot of it, and you can tell that it's like it has a very CG feel to it, which was really good probably in '99, but now looks dated, and the first one looks timeless versus dated, in my opinion. Obviously, I for the listeners and for you guys, I literally just finished rewatching the second one again, and there are a lot of the times where they did a good job with the plasticky looks, like really well with those, shiny and good, but in the rest of it, it missed for me.
You think
So
that they don't look like toys anymore, is what you're saying?
No, the toys still look like toys. Like they look good. Rex looks more plasticky, more shiny and plastic and stuff like that. It just felt like their environments, they felt out of place in the environments that they were in. I don't think they did as good a job like meshing the toys into where they were at. Apart from Stinky Pete and his packaging, which looked really good. That kind of saran wrappy, plasticky film looked good, but like for the most part, I've just I noticed it, and I wish I hadn't. So animation, I really like the first one over the second one. For the story, you said in the second one it was toys were the villain, but in the first one that was the same thing, or more accurately, Woody's jealousy was the biggest uh, problem that they had to defeat. They had to learn to.
What I mean more by that is that like Woody is not a villain though. Like whereas like Stinky Pete is a true like villain in this.
Stinky Pete is the true villain, but there was times when Woody was the villain in the first one. I mean, when he was contemplating pushing Buzz out the window, and he didn't really want to do it, but if he fell behind the desk and got forgotten, that was okay. And you saw those really dark aspects of what jealousy can do. In those moments, you see like, oh my gosh, Woody's about to make a bad guy decision, a villainous choice. And it just so happens that it gets even worse and he falls out the window and Buzz thinks he's pushed and all this bad stuff. And he takes, RC and it's way worse than Woody wanted it to be because he wasn't trying to do that. But I don't know. He had that in his heart, he was making a bad decision and we knew it watching it and he knew it doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like in that moment, he was a bad, yes, there was like a bigger bad guy and that was the kid blowing up toys. But I think the biggest thing for me was that he had to get over that resentment and jealousy of the new toy. And that was like huge. And that didn't happen until they had someone to unify against. And even still, once Buzz was in Sid's place and there was still animosity there still wasn't trust, there still wasn't friendship. They had to build that. And that's really what, the first Toy Story is them building that relationship, the trust and understanding. And I think that was for me, that was a better story. And then, having to learn to do that and then get over the big hurdle of the bad guy. And then he had his friends still not trust him because they think that he pushed Buzz out the window on purpose still. So even in the end, when you think all's good and well and they finally escape, they throw Woody out the moving truck. Like,
Yeah.
They just toss him out and then Buzz has to go save him. It was just so well done. And it's not to take away from the second one. As I've said multiple times here, having rewatched it as an adult, it's good. But for me, I think the first one does those things better than the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to discredit Toy Story 1 because it's a brilliant story, brilliant movie. Like, I'm not going to go down that road of dissing it because I do believe that these are, to me, they're too close to perfect animated films. Like, I really do. Pixar is just amazing, and the first two in Toy Story they're just that good. So I think coupled with the stakes that happen in Toy Story 2, where the toys are actually going on an adventure, and it's not just Buzz and Woody. Like, I really enjoy the different facets. Justin, you brought up that this movie is kind of bringing in Buzz to the role of leader in this toy group as well, and I really enjoy that. And especially you see that. I know you didn't watch 4. Justin, did you watch 4?
Most of the way.
Okay. But I also like seeing as the story progresses in the next two films that you see that like Buzz and Woody are just this really amazing team. And like, this is the origin of that, in Toy Story 2, where Buzz is leading and galvanizing his group of, toys, his friends, to save their best friend in Woody. And, I just love that about it. I don't know if I agree with the animation doesn't fit in the setting. I think that's a little off base, but I'll let you have that opinion. No worries.
It's an opinion.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah. Except on Test Your Might, we debate. Anyway, that's
there's
a video.
curiosity there.
Anyway, so but on the other side of it is that I think the big thing about Toy Story 2 and its story is the emotional draw that the toys have and their connection with their human. And I think that's what makes it really special. You see that in Jessie, where she does feel that she's been neglected. And now she is okay. that a toy has decided that it is better to go to a museum and just sit in a display case versus go see another toy. And that's kind of where they're emotionally drawing Woody into being that type of toy. Eventually Woody does realize that no, it is better to be played with. It is better to get these rips in my arm and then to fix it. But that's what brings the story of Toy Story 2 to an elevated level for me, is because you have the toys wrestling with the fact that maybe these people don't actually want to play with me.
They did that in the first one with Sid. Sid was destroying and ripping the toys.
Not with Andy, though. Not with Andy, though. The stakes were that Woody was actually deciding to not go back to Andy. In the first one, they were trying to get the bed,
behind the bed, gets ignored, and has that same thing. They just replayed it. They did a deeper dive on the same situation in Toy Story 2.
He's not wrong. That is true. That did happen. He got literally shoved off the bed during the birthday party. Yeah,
true. But it wasn't as if Andy was going to throw him away.
He had replaced
Woody.
Him.
It doesn't matter, but Woody was still around. Woody was still around. That's what I'm trying to say.
Does it count if they're thrown into the toy bin? Because he had that moment in the first movie where he was thrown aside.
Yep.
Tossed in the toy bin.
And then at the beginning of Toy Story 2, he's playing with Woody and Buzz together. So exactly. it would have eventually come around. What I'm saying is that Woody is literally going to leave Andy.
But it came around.
Literally.
The same story.
Yeah, but it's not the same story. It isn't the same story at all.
I'm sorry, Jelly. I don't agree with you. I don't think it's the same. There's a bigger disconnect on the second one.
It's not the same story. It's a bigger emotional response that Andy does not actually want Woody at all, and therefore Woody is choosing to go back.
But that never happened.
In the second
one,
Andy never chose to get rid of him. He said he can't play with him because he ripped his arm. He didn't want to rip him more and break him more.
I'm talking about it from the toys' perspective. From the toys' perspective.
From the toys' perspective, in the second one, Woody did have that bad nightmare where he literally saw Andy say, "I don't want to play with you anymore," and he drops him. That was from the toys' perspective in his nightmare, and that was pretty crucial to Woody's psychological.
Yeah, and not part of Toy Story 1 at all.
That happened literally when he threw him in the toy bin and forgot about him. He literally threw him in the chest and left him there while he played with the new toy.
You're not understanding the concept. He would not have forgotten about Woody because he was still around. Woody is literally not around. He's about to go to China to go in a museum.
Tokyo, Japan.
Japan, sorry.
But the point being, do you remember the feeling that they had when they went into the toy chest? Do you remember them explaining that in the first movie? About how that was the end?
The toys being there to comfort him, yeah.
That's where they went to go and be forgotten and never played with again. So that same thing happened. He just was in a different location this time.
No, I disagree. I think it is a bigger emotional ordeal for a toy to understand that he would physically not be around Andy anymore, because he is toying with the decision: do I go back with my friends or do I go to Japan to be in a museum? And that is physical space. Woody, in Toy Story 1, he's at least in the toy box and could understand that there might be a renaissance of Andy playing with Woody and Buzz. And to be fair, there was. Toy Story 2 starts with that. He's playing with both, rips his arm. So
yeah, it happens in the end of the first one too, though. Like, they don't leave us hanging in the first one. He plays with both of them together at the end of the first one. So, like, we know he's doing that. I'm just saying.
No, he doesn't. At the end of the first one, they literally get back, they're touching, and there's the Christmas party. They don't show him playing.
No, I mean, sorry, it's assumed that they're playing because they're now together.
Yeah. Or maybe Woody's just not as jealous.
Also definitely part of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess the moral of this story is that, like, I'm glad that you guys can think that Toy Story 1 is better. And to be honest, I could argue that too. Like, I could argue that Toy Story 1 is better because they're almost
right. Yeah.
No, because I would be wrong. But all of them, but both of them are pretty flawless movies, in my opinion. But like, but I'm glad that as you guys have watched it as adults, like it's sitting a little bit better with you. Like it might not be up to the level of Toy Story 1, but it's sitting better with you.
Yeah, so when I was young, it was basically unwatchable. I didn't enjoy it at all. As an adult, I've watched it twice, and it's a perfectly good Toy Story movie. It still ranks at third place for me. I think that, and to be fair, that's because everything Toy Story 3 did, they took from 1 and 2, took all the best aspects and put it into a movie of its own and gave it another story. Did really well. Yeah. I mean, they literally ripped 1 and 2, put them together and made 3. And I get it. They added more weight, made me cry in theaters. It was great. But yeah.
And they should have stopped. Like, no offense. I think Toy Story 4 is watchable, but they should have stopped after the trilogy for sure.
Yep. 100% agree. But yeah, I think that, okay, for things that I didn't like about the second one, because we haven't really talked on that.
I wanted to keep it a little bit more positive.
Okay, then I won't do it.
Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I feel like they ripped so many things from other movies, and you and I talked about this morning, but like so many scenes, like direct rips, steals from other films.
Oh yeah, Star Wars is all over it.
Star Wars, Jurassic Park, like there's huge films that they were like, oh, easy win here. We're just going to put this into our movie and people are going to love it. And they're right. Like Rex chasing after the car and the scene from, the Miss Potato looks in the rearview mirror and it's literally the scene from Jurassic Park or the I Am Your Father or like all of this stuff. And like, I don't know. I feel like it's cheap, cheap thrills.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it's
not as unique.
Maybe not as unique, but like what movie doesn't take from other movies? Like, I mean,
Toy Story 1.
It's there are so many movies in this world that take ideas and even storylines from other movies. Like, I don't think that's a valid argument.
It's cheap. I didn't say it was not unheard of. I just said it was, oh, hey,
yeah, Toy Story 1 didn't do that.
No, Toy Story 1 was unique. They did well.
Yeah, they did well in Toy Story 2 too. Justin, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Tomato meter has 100% for both of them. The audience scores 92% on the first one and only 87% on the second one.
Okay, well, there's still.
Let's talk about how the locations that the toys went to in the first one were each unique in themselves. You had Pizza Planet, the gas station, and Andy's house as the main 3. And I feel like when you got to the Pizza Planet scene, the uniqueness of being in an arcade with all the different games and the toys going around, that made your kid feelings go crazy. You saw all the different games that you would play at, say, at Chuck E. Cheese's, or when I was growing up, it was called Enchanted Castle. But like,
oh yeah,
you would see those games, and then you get the claw machine, the iconic, the claw. And you see Sid freak out when he sees a Buzz Lightyear in there, I feel like each of those locations were so unique to the story that it kept your drive going as a child, and then also as an adult, it made a new aspect to the story. Mm-hmm. So I feel like in the second one, when you get, the garage sale was great, but that's just right outside Andy's house. And then you get Al's Toy Barn, which was the most unique in the entire movie. You get all those different toys, the aisles, kids all go to the store and see all these aisles with toys. They can relate being in a toy store.
Yeah, Toys R Us.
But you get up to Al's apartment and you're like, it's just all it did for me was introduce all of Woody's back characters. That was the only thing of that location. And it just wasn't as impactful for me.
I mean, that just like it being a shrine for Woody's Roundup was cool to me. But I mean, you also have the airport. Like you have that. I think that's.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
baggage claim.
I mean
That's fun.
that's what I'm talking about. Like with the bigger stakes. Like you have toys going on such a much bigger adventure, which is what I enjoy about it too. Those are some good final thoughts, Justin, for sure. Jelly, any other final thoughts before we move on to 90s now?
Sounds great. My final thoughts are: if you have not watched these movies, you should watch all three of them. Forget the fourth one; it is not worth it. It's not worth your time. But watch all three of them. If you have kids, watch them with your kids. They're so good. If you have not seen them all, if you are watching them for the first time, if you're listening to me, be prepared to cry in the third movie. You will if you have a heart. So just a heads up, it's going to happen. They're so good, all three of them. If you liked one, if you liked two, you'll love three because it took both of them and made a better version of two.
And then you just take the fourth one and you throw it in the trash.
I don't own things physically anymore. It's I can't throw Disney Plus in the trash. Anyway, as I've stated multiple times, I do like Toy Story 2 just slightly better, but they are both 100% in my book. Like they're both phenomenal movies. Like if you haven't seen them and you're listening to this podcast, I don't know what you're doing. Get that free trial going for Disney Plus and watch both of them. Phenomenal movies. And then watch the third. Yeah. We do occasionally watch the fourth in my house just because my kids do just like Toy Story in general. So whatever. But but yeah, other than that, Toy Story 1, 2, great movies. Watch them. Hope you liked our discussion. We're going to go into a quick 90s Now segment. I know that this was news last year, but it does pertain to our topic, and we did not actually talk about it because at the time, we didn't have this format of our show. So, first of all, listeners, if you like this format, talking about some 90s content and then doing some 90s Now, I hope you do, because it's sticking around. If you want to let us know about adding anything, if you are... complete side note, but I just thought about it. If you do, we're not doing it this episode, but if you do enjoy our Test Your Might, we are planning on bringing the leaderboard section to this show. So we'll be doing more top fives as well at the end of the show here. So stay tuned for that. We'll do that in 2 weeks' time. So, but anyway, 90s Now, we didn't get to talk about it because we weren't doing this format. They're doing a new movie, I believe. I don't think it's a series, but it is a prequel, and it is Buzz Lightyear, who is being voiced by Chris Evans, Captain America himself. So I don't know, Jelly, we'll go your way first. What are some of your thoughts on this? Like, do you like the aspect of a prequel for Buzz only? Do you think Chris Evans will do a good job? Like, is it a mistake that they're not having Tim Allen anymore? Like, what are your thoughts?
No, Tim Allen's voice has changed. He sounds older. So I understand that completely. I don't know if you guys watched Last Man Standing, but he's just, while he will forever be Buzz Lightyear, I think having Chris Evans do it, because Chris Evans, I don't know if you've watched a lot of his stuff, but he can do like a really good Buzz voice.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he was in a movie where he has like a bit of a southerny drawl accent, and like you can hear it there. I don't think of the movie when we're done, most likely. But no, I think he'll do fine. Chris Evans is a good actor. Honestly, if you're a good actor, voice acting is just being able to emote everything into your voice without having your body to rely on. So I think he'll be able to do that. As far as the movie itself, Disney is known to milk everything out of everything. So
100%.
Do I think that they should do it? Probably not. They are, but that's not what they're known for. They're not known for when to stop. So hence Toy Story 4. If they could just leave things where they're at, it'd probably be better, and just maybe ramp them up again if they really want to. Then promote Toy Story sequel or trilogy, and do it that way. But it'd be nice to see them. I guess I don't know, because we had the animated series, which was all of Buzz Lightyear stuff. Like,
Yeah.
do we need a movie about it too now? Like, I don't know. I don't like it. No, I think Chris Evans will do great, but I don't
Yeah.
think, no one asked for it. No one wants it. Who cares about it? Kind of is my feel.
Yeah.
Sorry, Disney.
Justin. Justin, thoughts?
I haven't heard a lot about this, but I do think Chris Evans will do a good job. I feel like this story element is where it's going to struggle, because as Buzz Lightyear from the first film, he mentioned years of training wasted, when he was having his breakdown. So this would take place in his mind as a training. Like, would it be something that he was just thinking I was doing? Because we as adults know that he was just coming from a factory as a toy and then going to a store to be bought by Andy's mom. So would it just be a hypothetical, like, oh, this is what he would think we would see if he was actually in Star Command? Like, I'm kind of confused on that element.
Yeah.
But if they were to do it that way, I think that it would do okay. I don't think it would sell that great, but Toy Story does sell very well. So I think that as long as Chris Evans sticks to the character properly, then I think he'll do it well. But the story, I think, would struggle. That's probably why they're not doing a show. They're going to do a movie. So it's just kind of like a one-off prequel, because I don't think they can stretch that story too much before reaching Andy. Unless they're just going completely bonkers with it outside the box. But at that point, it wouldn't do that great, I don't think. I think they have to kind of stick close.
Yeah, I doubt it'll be connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to take a look at. Yeah, it's just called Lightyear.
I saw that confirmed for June 2022. So we'll know in like 9 months what it'll be like. But
yeah. So we'll see what it's all about. But it's an upcoming animated film. Let's see what it. The film is a spin-off of the Toy Story franchise, and it's a sci-fi action adventure and the definitive origin story of Buzz Lightyear, the hero who inspired the toy. So that's where it is. It's actually not the. Oh my goodness! What the? It's actually not a prequel of the toy, but rather the hero who I cannot focus. The hero who inspired the toy line. So hopefully that's a good story. I'm actually excited for this, mainly because I do like, out of all the toys in Toy Story, like Buzz Lightyear is the prime example of expanding stories and expanding universe. Like, he's a space cadet, So I mean, I'm actually pretty excited for this. We'll see how it turns out. I agree with both of you. I think Chris Evans will do good. It will be hard. It's like watching a Batman animated film and it's not Kevin Conroy. It's kind of hard to take Tim Allen out of that role. Does that make sense to you guys?
I completely agree. It's like watching the New Age Aladdin without Robin Williams. It's the same thing. It's hard to follow up such an iconic character voiced with someone else. Yeah. Now, Will Smith did a great job. I'm not saying anything bad, but I feel like it's the same aspect of Disney taking somebody and following somebody so great and then bringing it into a new aspect for the New Age. It'll be. I think he'll do great.
Yeah, but I mean, to Jelly's point, and it's a brilliant point, that like Tim Allen is older, and if they're going for like an origin story style, they got to bring in somebody else to bring in that voice. And so I'm hoping that my like nostalgia and my feels about that voice and just Buzz as a character doesn't ruin the movie for me, because listeners, a couple episodes ago, go check out our Batman Long Halloween stuff. When I watched those films, the actor who played them like kind of took me out of the Batman element because I did not like his voice. And Justin,
Jensen Ackles?
you're gonna hate me because it's one of your Supernatural boys.
Yeah.
So I didn't think he was a very good Batman. And so it's, go listen to that show. And so the voice acting does take you out of that. Sorry, that was a shameless plug for or one of our best episodes. Yeah, so definitely take a look. Anyway, that's the 90s now. That's kind of our episode. So we do have a little bit of trivia. Jelly's got it ready. So we'll do a little trivia here, and hopefully we get the right answers. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
All right.
Oh.
Which one we got, Jelly?
All right. Are we ready? Oh, let's see. I need to make sure I'm not reading the answer. In the 1994 comedy Dumb and Dumber, what color tuxedo did Lloyd wear to the Snow Owl benefit?
Is there multiple choice?
There is not.
Okay, it's baby blue. I'm pretty sure.
Blue?
Yeah.
Powder blue?
Yeah, something like that.
It's something like that.
I remember it being. Yeah. I think it's blue or yellow, but I'm going with blue. I'm gonna go with.
We got the wrong one.
Was it yellow?
It was orange. It was the orange one,
not
the blue.
No.
Wrong character.
Wrong. Okay, dang it.
Shows you how much we know our 90s films.
Oh my goodness. I haven't seen Dumb and Dumber in years. All right, guys. That's been the 90s First show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know down in the comments which Toy Story you believe is better, and let us know why. So without further ado, my name is Mike. That's Jelly. We got Justin here as well. We'll talk to you later. And I hope that you're sitting around a campfire eating delicious hot schmoes later. Good night.
What?
He quoted the first movie. And,
no, I quoted the second movie. Don't even. Pizza Planet.
What's a campfire?
Yeah, I'm a little stuffy and it said tur. All right, enough. Party on, Wayne.
Yeah,
party on,
Partying.
Bye.